Wow. This happened in the last hour and a half since I sawed that board out. I don't know how that happens. I mean, I can see it's sitting right there in the sun. That's just amazing that it pulled up that tight in that short amount of time. But I think I can still, it's still soft enough I can nail it flat. I just walked out here to start working again, and that's what I get met by. That's insane. All right, so I'm getting started with the sheathing, and I'm doing it the same way as I did the goat barn, only this time I actually went for a little consistency. On the goat barn, the sheathing on the outside is anywhere from 1/2 to 3/4 thick because I eyeballed it. Here I actually cut all this intentionally at 1/2 thick, squared it all up so I don't have live edges. Which live edges aren't a problem. They just kind of, you know, things don't line up quite square and it gets a little aggravating. So I figured, you know what, let's just slow down a little bit, square it all up. So they're 6-inch wide planks, all flat, all square, yada yada yada. The other thing that I did was on the goat barn, I took these angled sheathings all the way down to the sill plate, which makes it great for having nailer points. The problem with it is that now at the bottom of every one, basically this gap that you see here is at the sill plate. And you know, me being a beekeeper and a bee removal guy, I notice issues like that where I think, wow, bees would love to be able to get right in this little hole. And on the goat barn, I really set myself up for failure because I also didn't insulate those walls. So if bees find those little holes that are going to be right down here at the edge of the goat barn foundation, they're going to crawl in and they're going to find a nice wall void behind it. Cross that bridge when I get there, I guess. But to try to prevent that on the well house, which we are going to insulate these walls, so that would help. I'm putting this first 6-inch wide, I don't know what you'd want to call it, bottom plate or whatever. Look at that, there's a honeybee right there. She's checking things out. I'm putting this first course here. So this is nailed to my bottom sill. Maybe you can see the sill. Yeah, there's the treated sill plate. So this is nailed in here nice and tight. And these are coming down flush on my angled board here. They're coming down flush. And then there'll be lap siding that'll go right over this. So we won't have these holes at the bottom of every joint for the bees to get in. That was the whole idea. Now I kind of screwed myself by doing that because now I don't have a consistent nailer plate all the way across the bottom of these angled boards. You know, if I'm close on a stud, cool, great. But like here, I didn't have anything to nail to. So I had to put this little short false stud behind here just to have some bracing. And it kind of makes this piece of sheathing useless if I had to guess. So this one here is also pretty useless. It's really just a filler block because it's not, this part of it is not actually tied to anything in this direction. It's just got 2 nails there. I'm correcting that as I go. On the west wall, I'm putting in cross bracing at each, between each stud. So I will have something to tie into with the bottom of the sheathing, and I'll be physically tied to the studs. What I should have done, in hindsight, that would have been a lot simpler, would have eased this whole, what in the world? It's like some kind of maggot crawling out of my board. What would have simplified this whole thing, I should have just done something like not necessarily a double sill plate at the bottom, but I should have made this bottom strip be just 1.5 inches thick, and then had inside the walls only gone, you know, just blocking. Basically, I would have put you still have your single bottom sill, but I would have just nailed down blocking like this at each space. So then I would have the blocking to nail the bottom of the sheathing into, and I would have the original sill to nail the actual board into, which I guess I can still do that. I've already nailed these first 2 in, but on the other 2 walls I can do that. I can just go ahead and flat nail all that blocking. It's going to be a lot easier than what I'm doing, because right now I'm having to, you know, cut each piece, then try to toenail it all in. It's just annoying. So on these 2 sides I can do it. I can just do the 1.5 inch strip and then the blocking on top, because there's nothing really structural about that short strip, and it's going to get covered with siding anyway, with lap siding. So no one's ever going to see it. It doesn't have to be this 6-inch high like it is here. So I think that's probably what I'll do. Like I said, it'll simplify. I'll have to make those 2 rip cuts, but got a track saw here behind me that works really well. So I'll make those rip cuts. And yeah, then I'll just do flat blocking. It'll make it a lot easier. Anyway, rambled, but I wanted to share with you guys a little bit different method that I'm doing this time versus the goat barn. It should be more robust all around. I could have planned for it better. It is what it is. Who needs a tractor? I don't need no stinking tractor. This is how I've been carrying these little 1/2-inch deck board, or not deck boards, sheathing boards up to the house. I've been sawing out, just a log or 2 at a time, and then I'll go grab 6 or 7 at a time. 8 foot long, it's really not that heavy. And it's only about 100 yards from the sawmill to the house. So it's hardly worth going and starting the tractor, putting the forks on, doing all that. And then you carry it up here and you just dump it in the yard anyway. So I'll show you here, actually. Carry it up here. And since we don't have any screens in yet in our porch, I just set it right in here through the porch window. Oh, you guys got a close up of my face there, didn't you? See? Sets right in through the porch window, real nice like. And goes right down there to the miter saw. Let's get busy. Well, I forgot to make you guys an update the other day on the siding. I've kind of jumped ahead and already gotten onto the roof, but I got to a point, I actually ran out of 2-inch nails. I think they'll be here today, actually. I ordered them on Amazon. I ran out of the 2-inch siding nails, so that was all I could get done. But I got all of the south side and all of the east side here done. Oh, ain't that pretty? And I got like 90% of the west side. Here's the north side. 85 to 90% of that done. And yeah, 85 to 90% of the west side done. And ultimately, I've got enough done that the sucker is solid. So I was able to tear off all the angle bracing and kind of move forward with the rest of the project. That's why I was okay with it. But you can see all I've got left to do. The 2 little bits that I just showed you there. And no, I'm not. I was going to say I'm debating doing 1/2-inch on the roof, but I'm not because I already did the purlins. So all I've got left now to cut out is the 3/4, I might go with 1-inch, I don't know, thick fascia boards that'll go along here and along there. And then we'll probably go back with plywood in the eaves and the gables like we did on the goat barn, just something that's a little more stable than this green lumber. But anyway, suppose I just owed you a little update on the sheathing on the 1/2-inch. I like this so much better. I know I keep referencing the goat barn, you guys are gonna get worn out, but on the goat barn, when I did the sheathing, I did live edge. So I just cut the slab just because it was, a hair faster on the sawmill than squaring up 2 more sides. But I like this way better, having all 4 square sides. It just looks a lot cleaner, a lot neater, nicer. And it actually made the install a lot easier because things are consistent. I don't have a wide spot here and a thin spot there, so on and so forth. Excuse me. So yeah, definitely in the future, if I do more of this angled sheathing on other projects, I will square all 4 sides. It makes all of it go a lot better. I've got little bits and pieces here. I got a notch out around the window there. Could add a little triangle there just for, make it even. But yeah, otherwise she's clicking right along. This was 1/2-inch sheathing, and I think for the lap siding I'm gonna go 1/2-inch as well versus the 3/8 I did on the goat barn. Just try a little thicker, see how I like that on the install. Traditional lap siding is usually about 3/4, but they taper it to, it's like 3/4 by 3/8. They put a taper on it. But I kind of like just doing it. I don't have a true lap siding cutter to where you get that taper, so I just go with the flat and overlap it. But the thicker you make the overlaps, that means the thicker you got to make your trim. So I'm gonna have to go with like 1-inch trim versus the 7/8 that I cut on the goat barn. Anyway, sheathing mostly done. I'll try to give you a little update when it's all done. But for now, I got to get back on to doing this blocking in the eaves. All right, just finished up the last of the racking support. Got a little hairy here at the end, a little bit bigger gap over there than I like, a little bigger one here than I like, but all around it's okay. I got to trim out this little corner here with the Sawzall. just run it right across the window and then trim it later versus trying to trim it out before you put it up. Makes it easy enough. So yeah, I got that finished out just now. Finished out that top left corner before lunch. But that should be all of it. Oh, you know what? I think there's one more piece. I think, yeah, right here. I gotta give you a little triangle to go in there. And I gotta trim that little bit on the door, which I gotta trim that bottom sill plate out anyway before the door goes in. So that's no big deal. But racking support's all on, and I've actually started on the siding, which you can see through that wall. It doesn't have daylight coming through it anymore, but that's for a different video. Anyway, just wanted to post this as a, I guess as a wrap up, that I got all the racking support. Well, I say it's all done. It's good enough. I still got to fill in that little short wall on the gable, and then I'll put the racking supports across it too, just so everything is flush and is the same depth. But as far as the main walls are concerned, it's all done, so I can continue on with siding and getting the windows up and the door in.